Hello, and welcome back to Red Room. So, we have been very busy here in Red Room for the last 2 months. I managed to catch COVID finally for the first time, which was miserable. My mental health has been rubbish. So even having a finished thing now is quite the achievement. I would have liked to have filmed a bit more of this perhaps, but then in the interest of brevity and ever getting this finished, I had to draw a line and say no more. So the freehand other stuff didn't make the video. But what this video does cover is how I did the yellow, how I did the black, how I did all the weathering, and how I did the non-metallic metal, which I'm making real progress with now. So encouragement to anyone that's really struggling with that technique, just keep going at it, keep looking at different references, and eventually, hopefully, some sort of breakthrough will come, as it has with me, and yeah, you'll be able to go on from there. Because that's the intention. The next project will be pre-heresy Thousand Sun Marine, so that's going to be red non-metallic metal. So, ooh, combining sort of the last 2 videos in a way, and we will see how all of that goes. So yes, enjoy this tutorial, and I will see you in the next one. Bye! This is where we are with the model as it stands. It's already doing my head in a little bit because I'm so concerned about micro assemblies and not covering up bits I need to paint that I won't be able to access, that I'm actually starting to drive myself mad and putting myself off of actually doing this whole project. So we've come to a conclusion. We were going to try and do some sort of reasonable high effort attempt at a non-metallic metal on this this flatbed, whatever you want to call it, part of it. But there's no point. There's just no point. I mean, why am I doing this to myself? I did paint. I will say I wouldn't put a lot of effort into the painting here, but I did paint the inside of that. But you are just not going to see it. When everything's on it, you're just not going to see it. So I just think it's not worth it. So in order to stop my brain from going round and round and round, I'm going to paint everything yellow, and then we'll go from there, because it makes sense, you know. Why would the orcs? Yeah, they wouldn't worry about it. We will still, you know, we won't be making it look naff, but we're gonna make our lives easier for something that really, when everything is built up on top of this, you're not going to see. It's just not worth it. And the real risk here is that the whole project stalls. So yeah, there's been several moments where it's like, oh yes, great, we can get on, we can build this, and it's like, well no, because I need to, you know, I need to do the stuff that's going to be covered up in here, because you might just be able to see some of it, and it's like, oh, for goodness sakes. So yeah, I will keep this part dark. This is where we're gonna have to do some masking, I guess, or just, you know, practice being careful. And at some point, yeah, we'll worry about the crew. We may use that as a way to break up the project, because there's going to be a moment, I know there's going to be a moment, or when I get bored of doing something this big. Also, yeah, hi guys, it's been like 20 years or whatever, but it's good to see that these sculpts are still in use. Wowzers. What? So I've put some white tack in the little engine compartment because I want to keep that black, and everything else I'm not worrying about. It can be yellow, and we'll sort it out later, because otherwise I'm going to go mad. And yeah, we're going to use Avalanche Sunset for this. And you might think, oh, I'm spraying yellow over black, oh no, but this is what I find, that these base coats now are so pigment rich and thick that you can do this. It's not really necessarily a problem here. It's, you know, it's just the base coat, and we can always do another one, which we probably will do. And by the time we put everything else on it, yeah, it will not be a problem. So same with red. You know, these days it's really not the problem. Well, you can see I'm using a very high-tech shielding system now to protect the underside of this, which I've sprayed with dark grey from Vallejo. So I'm going to continue on putting down another coat of yellow onto this Avaland yellow, or Avaland Sunset. Yeah, that's the one. Well, apologies, I should have filmed all of that, but I didn't, so yeah, what can we do? So I put a second coat of Avaland Sunset on this, which covered it all nicely, so yeah, don't worry about yellow and putting it onto black. You can get away with it as long as you persevere and put multiple coats on. And now we have sprayed it with some Gryph-hound orange that has been very diluted with contrast medium to give it a nice sort of deep sunsetty colour. And yeah, we did try and use Iandin yellow contrast paint, but it is actually yellow. It looks very orange in the bottle, but no, it's not the right colour for this. So yeah, we've just done that to give it a bit more interest and what have you. And now we're gonna spray it with some moon yellow. Where's my moon yellow gone? Moon yellow from Vallejo. And we're gonna just start building that up in layers. So yes, lots of spraying. Lots of excellent and not at all half-assed masking of things. And I really need a Lazy Susan. I need to get one of those. This project has really made it apparent I need one of those in my life. So anyway, I shall get back to you when we start spraying. Okay, all mixed up and ready to go. Our moon yellow. So we don't want to obliterate all this orange, we just want to leave it there as a nice little base coat to make it a bit more interesting than just flat, very bright, quite plasticky looking yellow. Remove that. So this is what we're looking at right now after liberally applying all of that lovely moon yellow. And I'm really pleased actually. It's been another case of trust the process, because I was a bit like, oh no, it's too orange, what am I doing? But no, I'm actually really happy with how that's turned out. So this is the moon yellow. I'm also going to get some Avaland Sunset because we want to have a nice blend with these highlights, and some of this is more Avalanche Sunset than it is Bad Moon. Oh, moon yellow. Yeah. Let's get it into my brain. Moon yellow. So all of the places we're going to do edge highlights are going to get an application of either just straight up moon yellow, or it's going to have some of the Avalanche Sunset in it. So let's mix them together. And we'll gradually add more. But I'm very much going to carry on in that vein now, and I will return to you when we are finished, which may be a while. With all that highlighting done, this is now where we are. To say, I'm annoyed at how I've put this together. I wish I thought I'd been a bit, more careful about making sure everything actually lined up, but oh well. It's like mould lines, you think you've got them all until you've sprayed the thing, and then you go, oh, as clear as day, there it is. But yeah, so that's the first stage of highlighting this done, and now we're going to get on. Any white will do. Or Bad Moon Yellow, or Moon Yellow, sorry. I'm incapable of saying it without adding Citadel branding. And some Avalanche Sunset as well. So we can blend everything in nicely. We'll start with the light stuff. And we'll work down to the darker stuff. So adding a little bit of white. You don't need a lot because it's quite potent. So wherever we've gone and highlighted, we're just going to go in a bit smaller this time. Not quite an edge highlight, but certainly more accurate than what we've just done. And now for where we're going, for these bits we might add a little bit more. A little bit of this whiter or lighter moon yellow, but we're also going to add some Avalanche Sunset into that so that it doesn't look like it has no bearing on this part of the model. And I'm just saying this now, I hate rivets. I hate these rivets, they're doing my head in. Every time I'm trying to do something smoothly, I hit one and it spoils it, and that's not even getting into when we've got to paint them, which is going to be painful. And so on and so forth. And that's the highlighting done, or that stage of it anyhow. So now we're going to add a little bit of definition using some Gryph-hound Orange and some contrast medium as well. Water it down. And we're just going to put it in the recesses of things. This is why we're not going to do our final edge highlight until last, because I find if you're a bit heavy-handed on this stage you will obliterate any of your edge highlighting and you'll just have to go over it again. So anywhere where there's recesses we're just going to hood some of this to add some shading. If you think it's too orange, then you can always use some snakebite leather or glimmer flesh or something like that to make it a little more toned down. I'm not hugely concerned. So, this is what we're looking at now that we are done. As with all projects like this kind of proves that it's a bit of a learning curve. So when we started here, it was far too rich and I was far too heavy-handed with it. And then, yeah, improved a little bit. Much better up here. But this flatbed bit, I decided I was gonna make really kind of dirty and dingy, because what's the point, you know? It would be. It's got all the boys in it, and I'm gonna do it road shipped as well, so it's gonna be very weathered to reveal the metal beneath it. But with this, I decided, yeah, just basically flood it with just contrast medium, and then use my mix of Griffhound orange and snakebite leather to just yeah, work it into all of the corners and blend it in, yeah, kind of like wet blending, just to make it look, yeah, nice and grotty and dingy. We will make it even more so, but yeah. So we're now going to focus on doing some of the black. God help us. Because we've got to decide what bits are going to be black, what bits are going to be other metals like gunmetal or bronze or whatever, copper. Certainly won't be any gold on these guys, even though they are flash kits. Maybe I haven't actually said anything about the black. This is just Vallejo. Okay, well that took some time, but it is done. That is all of the black that I think we're going to put on there. So a few course changes. I decided that I wanted to leave all of that yellow because I'm concerned that if we paint too much of this black, it's not going to actually look like a Bad Moons vehicle anymore. So that door can be black or some sort of metallic, but this one I'm going to try and keep nice and bright and yellow. But yeah, not all of the things that are black are going to stay black. They're going to be non-metallic metal, but some of it is definitely staying black. So for those bits that are going to be staying black, we want to use the Fang as our highlight today. Normally I'd use a more standard grey probably, but because we're doing non-metallic metal, I want this to read and to be obvious that it's not, you know, that it's black rather than just another kind of metal. So we're gonna use the Fang instead. So a very dark mix to start with. We're gonna thin right down. Thin your paints. I'll focus on this bit up here. I'm probably going to do some freehand on some of these panels for the sake of making things a bit more interesting to look at. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit more of the shadow grey. Sorry, the fang. What year is this? And then we're going to do this in a narrower band than we've just done. Okie dokie, we've highlighted everything now. I would do the final edge highlights, but I think I'm actually going to bite the bullet and do all of these rivets. I've been trialing the best way to deal with these things, and I think contrast paint, Black Templar's contrast paint as a base coat works because it clings nicely and it isn't too much of an effort to cover the whole thing. Because these are very proud little rivets as well. They're not just like they're not your imperial nice little round nubbins. These are quite substantial boys, and they're doing my head in, to be honest. I've given up on trying to be too careful with them. We will deal with that in a minute. So I will hopefully get back to you. Boop! And here we are, after doing all of those rivets. I'm not mad at all. Oh lordy. So we're going to now just go around all of these rivets again, because we like suffering, we like to suffer. And we're going to put some of our mixture of Griffhound Orange and Snake White Leather, very, very diluted. And we're just going to go around all of these rivets, just leaving a little bit more of a stain than the black has left. Unfortunately, I've been a bit free and easy with some of this black, so that may be difficult, but oh well. When you're doing this many rivets, things will happen. And yeah, that's as much of that as I want to show you, so I will return when we have finished. And there we are. That phase of rivet-again is complete. Oh goodness. So we're going to now actually start looking at doing some of these metal bits. I'm just going to liberally apply a base coat of Vallejo Dark Grey, wherever we're going to do anything kind of steel in colour. So like this here. And of course this is not going to be very shiny non-metallic metal because that's not really the style of Orcs, although you could argue Bad Moons are flash kits, so maybe they would. I have seen some really cool ones that have had chrome effects done, and I did consider that, but no, I don't want to suffer too much while I'm learning. And with a little bit of edge highlighting, this is what it's looking like. I'm gonna be honest here, I'm very tempted to go over these wheels again with more solid looking colours because it just looks a bit like stone at the moment. I'm not so bothered about the rest of it because I just don't think it will be visible, but we're gonna, God help us, we're gonna try it. So we're going to use some light grey. Oop. Okay, we're going to use some more of our intermediate blue, the blue that isn't blue. And we're going to mix it together with this. We're going to thin that right down because that is not right. We're going to do a little blend into the darker stuff. And we're going to go a bit darker now, just full on intermediate blue. Right, let's break out the dark grey. And given I'm going to slap a lot of contrast paint on there, that's probably not too bad. Okay, my brain is an amazing and wonderful thing. Unfortunately, I thought, yes, I can leave those tank tracks like that. You know, the dry brushing is fine. No, it's not fine. It's not fine. It's lazy. It's lazy and a cop-out, and I'm never going to learn how to do an MM if I don't try. So, I'm going to paint these tank tracks. God help me. And you can see the beginnings of that going on there. So all we're doing is some very wet blending, going from light at the top to dark. Oh wow. So yeah, we ended up doing all of the treads. Everything has been neatened and MM'd, and I'm really pleased actually. Sometimes it's good to do these things because it's been a really good learning experience. A lot of wet blending, and it wasn't as hard as we thought it would be. Sometimes you just got to break these things down to the littlest little bits and just focus on them and not get discouraged. Now I'm going to attempt not to ruin everything because I really am adamant that I'm not going to get into some sort of mad caper with these because you're just not going to see them. Yeah, I'm going to put some black contrast paint all over it, but we're gonna thin it down. It's going to be really diluted. We'll see. I'd cry if I ruin this though. It does actually look pretty good. The moral of the story is don't try and half-arse things. I want more of that as well. Okay, we don't want a big brush for this. Guiding everything down to the bottom because that's where it's going to be darkest. I don't think that's too disastrous. I will get back to you in a mo. And now with the contrast paint all dried, it's a nice dirty looking steel kind of colour, I hope. Either way, I think we're going to leave it there for now, on the bottom anyway. So we're going to try and do some of these metal panels on the body in much the same way. So we return to our dear friend dark grey from Vallejo, intermediate blue, which is the greyest blue I've ever seen, and light grey. With the final highlights coming from pale grey blue. Okay, let's find a suitable panel to do, so we'll try this guy. We're going to keep the dark bit at the bottom, but we want to wet blend all of this, so we want this stuff to be quite moist. And then we get our intermediate blue. We want to blend it into this. I find that just keep going back and forth actually over this kind of works best. You may have to introduce some more of the, the darker or lighter colour if you find it's not working out quite how you want it, but as tedious as doing the tank tracks were, it has been worthwhile because it was a lot of good practice at doing this. And we're going to start putting in this light grey. The headache here is when you've got paint that dries darker than it looks when you initially paint it on. Greys are notorious for this. Shadow grey, or the Fang, is a classic example, and all of the sort of spin-offs from there. They all have this habit of fooling you, so it can make blending a little bit tricky. Hello all, I wasn't actually going to make any kind of video of these wheels, but I actually thought, no, the process might be worth capturing. So, all these sort of metal platey bits, and that is a very official term there, we have covered in Rhinox hide, because we're going to go for some sort of coppery, very dark, tinny kind of, I don't know, the equivalent of non-metallic metal tinny tin, basically, from Vallejo kind of plates. So yeah, I wanted to make sure they looked absolutely beaten up as hell, so we started off with it looking like that, and then we've done a 50-50 mix of I think it's Doomball Brown, let's check. Yeah, Doomball Brown, and we've just gone along, whoop, and left a little darker strip just the Rhinox side at the back. And then the next part of this is to just go around and do all of these lighter edges with just straight up Doomball brown. Like thus. And then, yeah, go along and attack all those edges. I don't know if you can see this, but yeah, I think just there you can. Yeah, attack all these edges with just, yeah, streaks of pure Doomball brown, because we're going to turn them into all the scratches and dings that these wheels would inevitably be picking up as they go rolling along. Righty, let's get on and do some edge highlighting. We're going to start off with the black that we have previously done. So you want to make sure you've got nice thin paint for this, and you want it to use the edge of your brush. The edge of your brush. You're just going to grind along these edges like you're in Jet Set Radio. And that's all of the edge highlighting on the black done. So very nice. So using our moon yellow, and we're going to use a fair amount of white to give us a nice little highlight. So again, same principle, using the side of our brush, just going along. Only using the point where we just cannot get that side bit in. This is an example of a bit that you're going to struggle to do a side brush sort of technique, so unfortunately you just got to use the tip and just aim down. Okay, all of the edge highlighting is now effectively done. Oh, slowly closing in on maybe possibly eventually finishing this thing. But now we're going to really increase the suffering, because we're going to do these rivets. Time to bite the bullet. Or do yet another stage of these rivets, shall we say. So here, using some light grey from Vallejo, we're going to thin right down. And as you might imagine, apply the paint. And so on for all of eternity, and I will return when I'm done. And all the endless little rivets are now currently looking a bit greyer. If I said I was using light grey from Vallejo, that was a lie. I was using intermediate blue for this. So I think we're going to now look at some of these tinny bits that we want to do, because we are rapidly getting to the point where I need to actually start constructing this thing, because yeah, I've got multiple bits everywhere and they all need to go somewhere, because I'm starting to damage things just handling them. So let's have a look at how we're going to do some of these tin panels. So we're going to start off with Rhinox side. And that's a layer, that's some Doomball brown. sand it down. Let's have a little look at this panel here. So just applying a layer of the Doom Ball, Rhine Oxide. And we're going to get a mix of the Doom Ball Brown and the Rhine Oxide. I decide that this half of it's going to be the lighter side, but I don't know, that might not be right. Who knows at this point? Now we're going to get some more the Doom Ball Brown and wet blended in. And Luna is going to help. And we'll leave that to dry. Okay, so that's what that little tiny piece is looking like. This is the kind of colour I'm aiming for. I can't really describe it, but yeah, tinny tin is what it's described. It's labelled as, so that's what we'll call it. So now we're going to add a bit of orange into this. So this is rust. And we're going to mix it with this Doom Ball Brown to give us a lighter colour. We're just going to do a very thin layer of that. And we're going to start a little bit of edge highlighting. And picking out these rivets. And then we're going to use some light orange from Vallejo. And this is the same thing that we've been doing with the wheels. Which now look like that. I give them a really battered look. So we add light orange to this. And this will be our final edge highlight. Just pick out the round edges of the rivets. I love rivets, I love them so much. They aren't seeing them in my dreams at all. Really like you can see that. And that's what we'll do with anything that's going to be that kind of colour. Okay, we are now at the point where we're going to build this thing so that I can start actually weathering it all and not damaging things by handling them unnecessarily. Other than these poor tank tracks which have really been through it. I've got to find a better way of mounting these things for this kind of process. But the wheels are on. I did screw up a bit. These are not, they should have been reversed in terms of where the white bits are, but never mind, live and learn. So yeah, very slowly moving towards getting finished here now. So when I return I will have built this up a little bit more, not all of it, but a reasonable amount. So more building has been occurring. Got the Orc boys in the back now, all positioned properly hopefully. I'm not going to show you much of a guide into how I've done these, if at all, because I have a video that I will link to that will give you a nice tutorial on how to paint these orcs. So, we're going to do some weathering now. We're going to use our trusty little bits of sponge, so any sponge will do. This is off of a scouring pad. I'll make it a bit smaller, I think. But yeah, you kind of want irregular edges, that's the main thing. And then we're going to get some Rhine oxide. And trusty tweezers. I fear I might have made that a little bit too small. We'll see. Just have to be careful. And we're going to dip it in and very lightly tap it on the wet palette because we want to get most of that off. And then we're just going to go around looking for things like sharp edges, because they are going to be the things that would catch a lot of grief and would get the paint chipped off of them. But it doesn't have to just be around the edges, obviously. This thing will be getting battle damage all over the place. I doubt highly that orcs are the most careful drivers. So we just dab it on. This is a really easy but effective technique, so well, you think about the leading edge is probably going to catch a lot of trauma. Obviously I'd do it with the other bits of trim if they were still on here, but I will do that at the end because I'm not in the mood to break those things off again. If you want to get more paint on there, then push it down a bit harder, but yeah, gently, generally speaking. That's all done as much as I want to, because I don't want to go too far with it and spoil all that work I've put in. So now I'm going to start digging up some of this black as well. So exactly the same principle, little sponge here, but instead I'm using some light grey from Vallejo. And this is going to go on anywhere that's got lots of metal, or lots of black bits rather. You've got to be a bit careful with the consistency of your paint. You don't want it to be too wet for this. You have official permission to not thin your paints for this. And hopefully you can see very subtle little effect there. Only one I had to. Okay, I've had a little bit of a breakthrough with my non-metallic metal studies. Yeah, so I really want this to be quite a bronze looking exhaust pipe. So I've been adding Avalon Sunset to the Doomball Brown to make this kind of, I'm pointing at a load of things you can't see, to make this kind of a colour down here, and yeah, it's worked really well. So it's been pretty much the same kind of process that we've used for the tin, just with this extra bit of yellow added. And the only thing I will say is that this is too dark at the moment. I need to make this a very small portion of it and much more of this to make it work, but I'm really pleased. So I will return when we're finished with this. Hello again. It has been a bit of a break since I've been able to work on this. I managed to catch COVID finally, so that ends my no-hit run with that particular virus, and it wasn't very pleasant, and I've had a total mental health freak out, so but we're here, we're back on it, and we're just going to start doing this weathering. As you can see, things have been moving on. I've managed to get all the turrets done. So we are going to use some of our American blue, sorry, intermediate blue from Vallejo. And we're just going to run along everywhere we've daubed on any scorched brown, or sorry, Rhine oxide. But we're going to leave most of the Rhine oxide untouched. But we particularly want to pick out anything like edges. And let's get some more light on there. With that done, we can see all our defined little metally bits poking through now, which is good. And we're going to now move on to using some pale grey from Vallejo to just further just pick out little bits. We're also going to use this pale grey, or this light grey, sorry, to do the battle damage that we've sponged onto the black bits. So again, much the same principle of what we've just seen, just smaller amounts of it. And we continue onwards. So we're just going to do a bit more work with these rivets. Oh, these rivets, these endless rivets. I'm going to put too much into this because it's not massively interesting, but yeah, we're just going to use our light grey from Vallejo. And we're just going to leave the darker bit at the bottom of the rivet. And we're defining bottom as being facing away from the front of the vehicle. That's how my mind's working this at the moment. But yeah, just being very delicate. Okay, I think we need to look at doing the blade of this here pincher in a non-metallic metal style. So we'll return to the paints we have used a lot this project. Dark grey from Vallejo, intermediate blue from Vallejo, light grey, pale grey blue, sorry. So I have actually done the bottom of this, which is very hard to show you. So I do have some idea of what I'm doing for once, which is exciting, and I am very pleased with the progress I've made here. The bottom also gives us a frame of reference for how we're going to do the top. We're going to focus on this side because it's the easiest side to see. Essentially we want a really light bit around here. And a really light bit here. Oh, there's going to be a lot of blending between all of these. So So I'm just using the pale grey now. And we're going to mix some of this intermediate blue into the pale grey. And now we're going to move into the dark grey, but very slowly. Not bad for a very rough little sketch. And now the game will be to absolutely minimise the sort of jumps between the transitions between these different sections until it all looks pretty smooth and gives you an impression of not necessarily a mirrored shine, but yeah, definitely a nice steely metallic finish. So I will get back to you when that is done. Right. So we're going to now add some white to this mix. Any white will do, but you'll probably find that Citadel's whites are not very nice. So this is just white from Vallejo. And much the same as we have done before, we're going to mix the two together. So this is pale blue grey, oh sorry, pale grey blue, because that's important. And we're just going to do that and soften these things into one another. But first let's have a look at this edge. And so wherever we've got these little recessy bits, here and here, we're going to want that to be the darkest bits, and in the middle we want them to be the lightest bits. So again, this time we're going to work from dark upwards rather than light downwards. Gotta be careful that you don't go over and wreck what you've just done on the blade. There are going to be mishaps, but do try and be careful for the sake of your sanity. Okay, and in the middle of this we're going to put some pale grey, or some light grey, sorry, light grey. And then right in the middle we're going to put the pale grey, yes, pale grey blue. And then we're going to do much the same process of blending that edge. Okay everyone, let's make sure we got some light. So this is what we've got now. Now we've blended everything, done some work on the middle joint. Another really important thing with this process is to use a light colour, or possibly the lightest colour, to do all your edge highlighting, so you get that nice bit of definition between your edge and the rest of the blade and everything. But yeah, it's probably the best bit of NMM I've done. So I'm going to get on and finish this last bit, and then I think that might be it, because I have a tutorial, a separate couple of tutorials on how to do orcs, so I will happily link to them, and more than anything I need this project to be finished, so we will see. I may get back to you if something important appears.